I'm George Marriner Maull, Artistic Director of the Discovery Orchestra and your host of NJPAC's Bank of America Classical Overtures. We thought it would be fun to have some web time with you about this season's Bank of America Classical Series, and as usual, provide some moments of musical discovery, windows for you to find yourself in this music. I don't know how common the idiom "an old chestnut" is in the American vernacular today, but at least one definition is a subject, an idea, or a joke which has been discussed or repeated so many times that it's not interesting or funny anymore. When I was a child, this term was used in similar context in classical music to denote a musical composition that has been played so many times that it's not really interesting anymore. Les Preludes by Franz Liszt was included in that group. In fact, it got to the point that Les Preludes just wasn't programmed very much by orchestras, but I have always enjoyed it, despite its checkered past. I say checkered because Hitler's Nazi regime used one of the grandiose themes from this work in a number of its propaganda films, which is why it is interesting that one of the two opportunities you will have to listen to this symphonic poem will be the performance by the Israel Philharmonic under its music director Zubin Mehta on Wednesday, February 23rd. It will also be played later by Kurt Masur at the New York Philharmonic on April 15th. Might be interesting for you to attend both performances and decide which one you like best. We seldom have that opportunity. Of Liszt's symphonic poems, and he wrote 13 of these single movement programmatic works, Les Preludes is certainly the most popular. Its full title is The Preludes after Lamartine. Liszt was making reference to an ode found in Alphonse de Lamartine's edition of Poetic Meditations. The published score also included a preface, which we assume was written by Liszt. He wrote, "What else is our life but a series of preludes to that unknown hymn, the first and solemn note of which is intoned by death? Love is the glowing dawn of all existence, but what is the fate where the first delights of happiness are not interrupted by some storm, the mortal blast of which dissipates its fine illusions?" Now, the verbal preface does get more optimistic, but let's listen to this fateful, gloomy opening. This opening idea will be repeated at a higher pitch, and then the music will become gradually very triumphant. But of course, in 16 minutes, many moods can be explored, and Liszt doesn't disappoint us in this regard. Liszt was indeed a towering figure, considered by history to be one of, if not the greatest pianist who ever lived. I've always been proud of the fact that Liszt was my piano teacher's piano teacher's piano teacher. Does that make me one of Liszt's many great-grandchildren, pianistically speaking? Well, in any event, Liszt was also an amazing composer, very original. I remember one of my music literature professors who would, by way of beating up a little bit on Wagner, say, "Oh, Wagner learned everything he ever knew about writing music from his father-in-law, Franz Liszt." Well, you can be the judge of this idea, but my first contact with this old chestnut, well, it was a recording of it my mother bought at the local supermarket back in the 1950s, when supermarkets would occasionally sell 33 1/3 RPM LPs of classical music. I wore out the record. Here's why. Don't forget to check out the NJPAC website for the full program of this exciting concert.